श्री कृष्णार्पणे सत्यभामा की जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 Jai Mishnapat Paramahansa Parivrajagataristottara Satar Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mishnapat Paramahansa Parivrajagataristottara Satar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhari Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय. श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय. श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, The Glories of Devotional Service. Text number 22. Mai Mai Ananya Bhavena Mai Ananya Bhavena Mai Ananya Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanti Ye Dridham Bhaktim Kurvanti Ye Dridham Bhaktim Kurvanti Ye Dridham Mat Krite Tyakta Karmanaha Mat Krite Tyakta Karmanas Mat Krite Tyakta Karmanas Tyakta Swajana Bandhavaha Tyakta Swajana Bandhavaha Tyakta Swajana Bandhavaha Mai Ananya Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanti Ye Dridham Mat Krite Tyakta Karmanas Tyakta Swajana Bandhavaha Mai Ananya Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanti Ye Dridham Mat Krite Tyakta Karmanas Tyakta Swajana Bandhavaha. Mai, unto me, Ananyena Bhavena, with undeviated mind, Bhaktim, devotional service, Kurvanti, perform, Ye, those who, Dridham, staunch, Matkrite, for my sake, Tyakta, renounced, Karmanaha, activities, Tyakta, renounced, Swajana, family relationships, Bandhavaha, friendly acquaintances, Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. Kindly repeat. Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A person in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi, is also called a sadhu because he renounces everything: his home, his comfort, his friends, his relatives, and his duties to family, and his duties to friends and to family. He renounces everything for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A sannyasi is generally in the renounced order of life, but his renunciation will be successful only when his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. It is said here, therefore, Bhaktim kurvanti ye dridham. A person who seriously engages in the service of the Lord and is in the renounced order of life is a sadhu. A sadhu is one who has given up all responsibility to society, family, and worldly humanitarianism simply for the service of the Lord. As soon as he takes his birth in the world, a person has so many responsibilities and obligations to the public, to the demigods, to the great sages, to the general living beings, to his parents, to the family forefathers, and to many others. When he gives up all such obligations for the sake of the service of the Supreme Lord, he is not punished for such a renunciation of obligation. But if, for sense gratification, a person renounces all such obligations, he is punished by the law of nature. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namavo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Some years back, election was going on. Currently also election is going on in India. State election was going on in Uttar Pradesh. I think this was 2017 or something like that. The incumbent chief minister at that time, he got into a tiff with his family members. His uncle, his paternal uncle, his father's younger brother, he was holding some senior position in the party. And because the election was approaching, internally something went wrong. The chief minister removed the uncle from party posts, stripped him of various positions, removed people who were his loyalists. So many things he did like this. Naturally, the uncle went to the father of the chief minister and spoke to him and told him, "What is this? Your son is doing like this. He has no consideration for me. After all, I am his uncle," and all that. The father called the son and told him, "No, you should not do this." Son did not listen. So what the father did? The father, he removed the son from the post of the presidentship of the party. And he tried to reinstate the uncle. But the son was in a very strong position. And the father became very sad that I made my son chief minister. I could have, when the party won the election the last time, I could have become the chief minister. But I made my son the chief minister, but look at what he is doing today. And the opposition party made it a big poll plank. And they made a statement in a rally that जो अपने बाप का नहीं हो पाया वो दूसरों का क्या होगा, meaning a guy who is not loyal to his father, what loyalty he will show to all of you citizens. Eventually that incumbent chief minister, he lost the election, meaning the party lost the election. They could not come to power. The opposition came to the power. The father then said, see, my son, he did not obey me. Now look at the result. That's why the party lost the election. In this world, if a son does not obey the father, if he rejects the father, it's not appreciated. People don't appreciate it. People condemn and criticize such an activity. Now we may think in India, the family ties are very strong. So only in India it is like that. In a similar incident, in same politics, in the United States, I think it was Barack Obama, somebody was running for the post of President of the United States of America. In America, what happens is the different candidates, they give their names that we want to become the president, and they run for the election. And when they declare themselves as candidates for president, they also declare who is going to be the vice president. The president and vice president, both of them run the election together. And there are two main parties in the United States. One is the Democrats and one is the Republicans. There will be many people who will be fighting the election to become the president in the Democrats and many in the Republican. Ultimately, over a period of time, as the campaigning for the election progresses, it will boil down to one person from the Democrat group, that one person who will stand for the election as the president, and along with him one vice president. And similarly, from the Republican party, there will be one candidate who will stand for president and another for vice president. Then finally, the final election will happen. One of them will emerge victorious. This is the system. When this person from the side of the Democrats, I think it was Barack Obama, not exactly sure, maybe somebody else also. When he was standing for the election, he had one person called John Edwards as his vice presidential candidate. Campaigning was going on, full-pitched, a lot of election rallies were being observed, a lot of television interviews, all this was going on. In the midst of this whole campaign, one news emerged that this John Edwards, vice presidential candidate, he was a married man. And his wife happened to be suffering from cancer at that time. She was undergoing treatment and doctors were confident that they would be able to cure her. And while this campaigning was going on, married man, he was having an affair with another woman. And this news came out in the public, that this man, he is standing as vice president, he is a married man having an affair with another woman. Eventually, because of that, although he denied it, he said, no, there is no such relationship and all that. But eventually, he had to resign from running for the vice president's post. He had to resign. Because even in the American society, it's very common, extramarital affairs, boyfriend, girlfriend, live-in relationships, very, very common. But still, even in that regressive society, if a married man has an affair with another woman, not acceptable. You divorce your wife or husband and have an affair with another person, no problem. But while being married, if you have an affair with another person, that is not acceptable. That is why that vice presidential candidate, they said, no, you have to step down. We will not allow you to stand for the vice president's election. You see, even in a regressive society like the United States, where family values are not very strong, family bonding is not very strong, even there they have this understanding that you cannot reject your family members like that. You cannot have a relationship with another woman or another man when you are already married to another person. Now, even in amongst devotees also, many times what happens is, devotees, they give up their family and come and join the temple. When they do that, there is a lot of criticism that we have to cope. Why? Because how can you give up your parents? How can you give up your brother, sister, all these family members? They are the ones who supported you, they reared you, they gave birth to you, they reared you, they took care of you, gave you good education. After all that, you are leaving them and going, joining the temple. How is it possible? Again, the same statement is made, जो अपने बाप का नहीं वो दूसरे किसी का क्या होगा, भगवान भी तुमको स्वीकार नहीं करेंगे, and all these kind of things. It's natural because that's the value system in the society. You cannot reject your family members like that. Now, what do the Shastras state? What do the Vedic scriptures state about that? According to the Vedic scriptures also, according to Dharma, a son cannot give up his parents. He has got an obligation. He has got a Pitru Rina. He is indebted to his parents because they have given birth to his body. He cannot give up that relationship and he has to serve them. This is the injunction of the, according to Dharma. Not only the parents, even the devatas from whom we are getting so many facilities for life. We are getting sunlight, we are getting water, we are getting air. We are indebted to the devatas, to the demigods also. Similarly, we have the rishis and sages who have given us all the Vedic literature. We are indebted to them. We take the help of so many domesticated animals for our living in the society. Like we take the milk of the cow, we may rear a dog to protect the house, etc., etc. We are indebted to them also. We cannot give up our duty towards any of these. According to Dharma, it's not just the one's family members. Even one is indebted to so many other people in the society. The laws of Dharma are very strict in this. If we reject our parents or any of our subordinates, if a husband rejects his wife or a wife rejects the husband, if the son rejects the parents, simply because they are becoming obstacles to his enjoyment, then he has to undergo severe sinful reaction. This is very clear according to the codes of Dharma. And especially if a wife or a husband, they cheat the spouse and have a relationship with somebody else, even that is also very, very highly condemned in the Vedic scriptures. Now, when Krishna descended upon this earth 5,000 years ago, why did he descend? Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna personally descends, and also many of his incarnations also descend into this world. For what purpose? To establish Dharma. Abhyutthanam adharmasya. Whenever adharma increases in the society, Krishna either personally or through one of his expansions, he will incarnate into this material world to re-establish Dharma. Krishna therefore appeared to re-establish Dharma. This is very clear. Now when Krishna was in Vraja, playing around as the son of Nanda Maharaj, of a cowherd boy, he was playing the role of a cowherd boy. One fine night, in the middle of the night, Krishna went to the bank of the Yamuna at Vamsivata and started playing his flute. In the middle of the night, hearing the playing of the flute of Krishna, all the gopis immediately ran out of their houses wanting to go and meet Krishna in Vamsivata. Vamsivata was quite far away from where all the Vrajavasis were living, where their houses were there. It was in the middle of the forest. Imagine a young girl, she is running out of the house and going into the forest at the middle of the night to meet her boyfriend. And when the gopis started running out of the house, their husbands, their brothers, their fathers, They all tried to stop them. Where are you going in the middle of the night? They did not listen to any one of them. They simply pushed them aside. Krishna is calling us. We are going. Left everything and ran up. Codes of dharma, this is a grave sinful activity. A married woman, she is giving up her husband, she is giving up her father, she is giving up her mother, giving up the children, and going to meet her lover in the middle of the night. This is really, really very grave sinful activity. Today, even in the United States, a man or a woman, married man or woman having an affair outside of marriage is not accepted. You can imagine 5,000 years ago in India, how much more conservative the society was. But still, the gopis, they gave up all their shyness, they gave up the following of dharma, they gave up their vows of chastity to their husbands, gave up everything, rejected everything, and ran into the forest to meet Krishna. So, what do the Shastras say about this act of the gopis? Because Krishna came to re-establish dharma and all rules of dharma. Now, Uddhava was a cousin brother of Krishna, and he was a student of Brihaspati. Very highly learned, very intelligent, sharp. And he was so intelligent and so in Dwaraka, he would call Uddhava and ask him for advice. In this kind of circumstance, what do you think we should do? According to dharma, what is the right thing to do? Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki jai. Uddhava was so highly learned, such a great scholar he was, so very intricate details of dharma he was aware. Now this Uddhava, Krishna gave him when Krishna was in Mathura, Krishna gave Uddhava a message, and he told him, my gopis are all suffering in separation of me, please carry this message from me to them. The gopis were all in Vrindavan, Krishna was in Mathura. Uddhava took the message and went to Vrindavan. He met Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, and Yashoda Mai was simply sitting and crying. Nanda Maharaj is also crying, and Nanda Maharaj is asking, how is Krishna? He has left us and gone. Does he remember us? Does he remember his friends, the Gopas and all that? Uddhava, when he saw this, he was surprised that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai have so much love for Krishna that they cannot think of anything other than Krishna. But that Uddhava was not aware. Something more was in store for him. After meeting Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, he found a suitable time and met the gopis separately in a secluded place, because Krishna was writing a letter to his lovers. This cannot be read in public. He brought the love letter from Krishna and he started reading that letter to the gopis. And when he saw the gopis' reactions, the gopis were so totally absorbed in Krishna, and especially Radharani, that she heard that Krishna has sent some messenger. She was so madly in love for Krishna that she could not even make out that Uddhava is the messenger. One man is right there sitting in front of her, and he is a Yadava, come from Mathura. She could not make out. She was so absorbed in Krishna, she saw one, oh, you are the messenger. She started talking to him. And the gopis are feeling so much separation for Krishna, they are only remembering Krishna killed Kaliya, he subdued Kaliya like this, he killed Aghasura like this, he lifted Govardhana like this. Only Krishna, 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 they cannot think of anything else. And when Uddhava saw this, and he saw the intense feelings of separation of the gopis, he glorified the gopis with a verse which is given in the Srimad-Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. Asa maho charana renu jusham aham syam vrindavane kimapi gulma lataushadhinam ya dustyajam swajanam aryapatham chahitva bhejur mukunda padavim shrutibir vimrugyam. He said, these gopis, what have they done? They have bhejur mukunda padavim. They are worshipping the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna. And that lotus feet of Krishna, Mukunda, Shrutibir Vimrugyam is searched for in the pages of the Vedas. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutras, they are all talking of the supreme absolute truth. the Parabrahman. If we go and study the Vedic scriptures, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutras, etc., with very great deep study, you go and study the entire Vedic scriptures with great difficulty, you will be able to search out that actually the Vedic scriptures, the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutras, they are all pointing towards the lotus feet of Krishna. Shrudipir Vimrigyam. Through the Vedas, what is to be searched out? It is the lotus feet of Krishna. And that lotus feet of Krishna, Bejur Mukunda Padavim. So, that lotus feet of Krishna was worshipped by these gopis. And how did these gopis worship Krishna? Ya Dustyajam Swajanam Aryapatham Chahitva. They worshipped Krishna. How? By giving up their swajana, by giving up all their relatives. They gave up their fathers, they gave up their mothers, they gave up their brothers, they gave up the children, they gave up their husbands, they gave up all these things for the sake of Krishna. And giving up these things is dustyajam, very, very difficult, not easy. A woman who is married, has a very loving husband, and she has children, and she is in the house taking care of all the household affairs. For her to give up the family, not easy, very difficult. But the gopis gave up all of their swajana. Even more difficult than swajana is Aryapatham. Aryapatham swajanam chahitva. They gave up even Aryapatha also. Aryapatha meaning the path of dharma. According to dharma, a married woman, she has to be loyal to her husband. This is a very simple thing to understand. Even today, like I gave the example of the United States, even in the United States, even today, where they have no idea of Vedic dharma, even there, a woman or a man who is married, they cannot give up their spouse. According to dharma, a woman or a man, they cannot give up their spouse like that, even according to dharma. It is very, very strict. But the gopis, Aryapatham Chahitva, they gave that Aryapatha, they gave up the path of dharma also. Now Uddhava is a very learned person, and what is he saying about them? This is the way the gopis worshipped Krishna. So, therefore, what is Uddhava's reaction to this? Because Uddhava knows the intricacies of dharma. Did he condemn the gopis that, oh, these women, they gave up dharma, they have to go to Naraka, they have to suffer in hell? Did he say that? No. What did he say? Asamaho charana renu jusham aham syam. He said, I want to become a speck of dust at their lotus feet. Or, if I am not able to become a speck of dust at their lotus feet, Vrindavane kimapi gulma lataushadinam. Let me become a small grass, small blade of grass or a small herb in Vrindavan forest, so that when the gopis walk on that grass, their lotus with their lotus feet, they will trample upon me. This is Uddhava's prayer. Why? Because even Uddhava cannot give up Swajana and Aryapatha. For him to give up path of dharma is like, how can I ever give up the path of dharma? But the gopis gave that up for the sake of Krishna. So Uddhava is saying, my God, their level of devotion to Krishna, even I cannot do this. Dustyajam, it is impossible to give that up, but they gave it up for the sake of Krishna. Therefore, they are so worshipable. They are worshipable even for me. Let me become a speck of dust or at least a blade of grass so that they will trample upon me. You can imagine this. Uddhava is a direct associate of Krishna. When Krishna was in Mathura and in Dwaraka, constantly Uddhava was there with him. Every day Uddhava was associating with Krishna. Whenever Krishna wanted any advice, he would call Uddhava and ask him. Very, very confidential and close associate. Uddhava is saying, I don't want to be in Dwaraka. I don't want to be in the presence of Krishna. Better than being with Krishna directly is for me to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan on which the gopis will trample upon me. See the amount of respect the gopis garnered from Uddhava, who is a direct associate of Krishna, who is saying, I am ready to give up my association with Krishna if I can become a grass which will be trampled upon by the lotus feet of the gopis. So the gopis, by giving up by giving up their relatives and by giving up the path of dharma for the sake of serving Krishna, they did not become condemned. They were not criticized. On the other hand, they became worshipable even by great personalities like Uddhava. Okay, Uddhava is a devotee. He, out of some sentiment, he might have felt like that. What about Krishna? Krishna came to establish dharma, no? He is the supreme personality of Godhead. What is Krishna's approach towards the gopis who gave up their husbands, their fathers, their brothers? They gave up all their houses and they gave up the path of dharma and came to meet Krishna. What is Krishna's dealing with them? Does Krishna say, no, 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 this is not as per dharma. You should go back and you keep worshipping me in your heart. And some future life, when you have enough punya, you take birth as my devotees. Did Krishna say that? When the gopis met Krishna in Kurukshetra, after Krishna had gone to Dwaraka, for a long time the gopis could not meet Krishna. But it so happened that in Kurukshetra there was a solar eclipse which was happening. And on account of the eclipse, all the Yadavas decided to go to Kurukshetra to do a lot of charity and pious activities, because to give away cows in charity and to do charitable activities during an eclipse is considered very, very beneficial. They decided, let us go to Kurukshetra, which is a place of pilgrimage, and there during the eclipse we will do a lot of dana. And so all the Yadavas went, and Krishna also came to Kurukshetra. The Vrajavasis, they heard that all the Yadavas are coming to Kurukshetra on account of this eclipse. And Kurukshetra is not very far from Vrindavan, whereas Dwaraka is very, very far. All the Vrajavasis said, let us also go to Kurukshetra so that we can meet Krishna. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, all the Gopas, even all the gopis also came. And when they came to Kurukshetra, when the gopis met Krishna, Krishna spoke to the gopis. He met them separately and he spoke to them. And Krishna told the gopis, Na parayeham niravadya samyujam swasadu krityam vibhudayusha pivaha yama abhajan durjaya geha shankalaha samrishya tadvaha sadhuna pratyatu. Krishna said that the same thing he said. Yama abhajan, he said, all you gopis, you have worshipped me. Yama abhajan, you have rendered devotional service to me. And Krishna said, how did the gopis render devotional service to him? Durjaya geha shrinkalaha samrishya. Geha shrinkala, geha means house. Shrinkala means the chains. The chains of the household affairs. Samrishya, you have broken those chains and you have rendered devotional service to Krishna. So you have rendered devotional service to me, Krishna said. That means they broke the rules and regulations of their household life. Being married women, they were bound by dharma to various duties towards their husbands, to their in-laws, to their children, etc. They broke all those principles of the dharma. Durjaya, which are extremely difficult to break. Even from the perspective of attachment and from the perspective of following dharma. Even from both perspectives, it is practically next to impossible to break these rules and regulations. But durjaya geha shrinkalaha samrishya, such extremely difficult chains which bind one to the household duties, that the gopis broke and came and worshipped Krishna. And therefore Krishna says that Vibhudayusha pivaha, even with the lifespan of the devatas, if Krishna is saying that even with the lifespan of the devatas, if I were to go on repaying you for what you have done for me, na parayeham, I will not be able to repay you. That means every day, every minute, every second, if I keep repaying you for the debt of your having rejected your family members, rejected dharma and come and surrendered to me, even then, even with the lifespan of the devatas, I will not be able to repay you. This is Krishna's statement. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-powerful Supreme Personality, nothing is impossible for Krishna. And Krishna is saying, one thing is impossible for me. What is that? To repay the gopis. So what does this mean? Does this mean that Krishna is is a hypocrite. He is saying on one hand that I came to establish dharma, and he is encouraging the gopis to engage in adharma. Is that what it means? No. What it means is that the gopis have followed the topmost dharma. Otherwise, Krishna would not have praised them like that. Uddhava would not have praised them like that. That means to give up all dharma, to give up all one's relatives, to give up all one's duties towards one's relatives, towards one's country, towards one's community, and all such duties, to give up all of them and to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna is the topmost dharma. There is no dharma which is higher than this. In fact, in the Bhagavatam, Krishna says that Ajnayaiva gunan doshan mayadishtan api swakan dharman santijya sarvan yaha mam bhajet sacha sattamaha. Krishna says mayadishtan api swakan dharman. Although all the codes of dharma are given by Krishna. Dharmam tu, what is that? Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, isn't it? That means dharma is given by Sakshat Bhagavan. Krishna personally, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he only has to give the codes of dharma. You and I cannot invent some new dharma. Dharma means it has to be given by the Supreme Lord only. Therefore, Krishna is saying, Mayadishtan api swakan dharman. All the rules of dharma are given by Krishna only. But, Ajnayaiva gunan doshan. If somebody understands that all these dharmas have certain limitations and have certain drawbacks. Why? Because all these rules and regulations and the codes of dharma which are given in the Vedic scriptures, they are all relating to the body. They are all deha dharma. When we speak of varnashrama dharma, that this is the duty of a husband. That means you got the body of a man this lifetime. Therefore, you are bound to perform these duties. The duty of a wife is different from the duty of a husband. So I've got a man's body, I have to perform the duties of the husband, not of the wife. But suppose next life I get a woman's body, then my duty will change. I have to follow the duty of a woman, not of a man. That means all these dharmas, rules of dharma which are given in the Vedic scriptures are relative to the body. And we keep changing our body. Bodies are not permanent, they are not eternal. Next lifetime, what kind of body I will get, I don't know. According to the body I get, then I have to follow some other dharma. So dharma also will keep changing. These deha dharmas are not eternal dharmas. The eternal dharma is the dharma of the soul, the Atma. And what is the eternal dharma of the soul? The eternal dharma of the Atma is to become a servant of Krishna, is to become a devotee of Krishna. Divera Swarupa hoy Nitya Krishna Dasa. To be a servant of Krishna is the real eternal dharma. And therefore, to fulfill that eternal dharma of being a servant of Krishna, if I give up all these deha dharmas, my dharma, my duty towards my family, my duty towards my relatives, my duty towards my friends, duty towards my country, duty towards my community, duty towards my religion, if we give up all these things for all these deha dharmas for the sake of my Atma, dharma of the Atma, of dharma of the soul, then that is highly recommended, it is highly appreciated, it is a worshipable act. And that is why even Uddhava and Lord Krishna expressed the glorification of the gopis for having given up their dharmas and surrendering only unto Krishna. And therefore, the same thing is being stated by Kapila Deva here, that when a person, Mayi Ananya Bhavena, with single pointed attention, with only Krishna as the center of one's attraction, not to devatas, not to our family relatives, not to our country citizens, not to any of these things, only unto Krishna. My only duty is to serve Krishna, not anything else. This is called Ananya Bhava. Mai Ananyena Bhavena, with such a bhava, with such a single pointed attention, Bhaktim Kurvanti Edhram. If a devotee determinedly he renders devotional service to Krishna despite all the obstacles which may come in his path, tyakta karmanas tyakta swajana bandhavaha, giving up one's duties, all one's worldly duties and all of one's duties towards one's family, relatives, friends, etc., then that is that is glorified even by Kapila Deva, and he is saying such a person has to be called a sadhu, because in the previous verse he was talking about sadhava sadhu bhushanaha. In the previous verse Kapila Deva spoke about what are the ornaments of a sadhu. And if somebody with single pointed attention, he gives up all other duties and says my only duty is to serve Krishna from now on, then he becomes a sadhu. Such a person has to be called a sadhu. This is a real sadhu, because he has understood that all the deha dharmas are temporary and my real eternal dharma is to serve Krishna. So, such ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam mat krite tyakta karmanas tyakta swajana bandhavaha. Therefore, such a sadhu, in the translation Prabhupada is saying, such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. Without deviation means I don't get deviated. Oh, I've got duties to worship some devata, I've got duties towards my family, so I have to reduce my devotional service to Krishna. I'll chant a lesser number of rounds because I have so many other duties to perform. No, my duty to Krishna is the only duty for me. This is called without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within this world. When a devotee does this, actually people in the world cannot understand this. They are not able to comprehend. You are becoming a devotee, you are becoming a spiritualist, so you should be more responsible in your duties towards your parents and friends and relatives. How are you giving up all these things? Is this what Krishna is teaching? Krishna never spoke all these things in the Bhagavad-gita. This is the first argument we will get. Naturally, what will happen? The devotee will say, no, Krishna says, sarva dharman paritejya mamekam saranam vraja. Moment you quote that, what will happen? The relatives will become angry, they will start scolding you. Oh, you become so big that you will advise your own parents. What do you think of yourself? We thought you are becoming sadhu, you will become humble, you are becoming so arrogant. All these things will start. Why? Because people cannot comprehend. How can a person who is on the path of dharma, who is on the path of spirituality, how can he reject all these things? The family, the parents and all these things. But in reality, what the Shastras state is, for any other purpose, if we reject our parents, our relatives, our nation, etc., that is condemned. However, for the sake of Krishna, if you reject all these things, that is glorified and becomes a worshipable act according to the Vedic scriptures. This is the very confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. And because of Kapila Deva, who is an incarnation of Krishna, from his teachings we can understand these confidential aspects. And also, by the mercy of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, we are able to understand the intricacies of dharma, what is the highest dharma that we have to perform. And so therefore, we should not become disturbed or we should not become doubtful about what our dharma is when people put forth all these arguments that we have various duties to perform to other personalities than Krishna. And we should remain determined and firm, as it is stated here, staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. We should maintain our confidence that this is the highest dharma. No matter what I have to reject, it is not going to be against the principles of dharma. I am only acting according to dharma by rejecting everything else for the sake of devotional service to Krishna. So I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.